Nobody self-sabotages on purpose. If you have followed any of my videos or any of my recent posts, I have shared very publicly and openly and authentically, finally, that self-sabotage has been a, a pattern that consistently shown up in my life. And lo and behold, whenever things are going really well, I self-sabotage and this one is particularly hard because in 2020, when I decided it was a good idea to use Adderall's close cousin that starts with an M and is basically the Voldemort of all drugs, except maybe crack. Crack could be worse, but mine wasn't crack. It was METH. After that relapse, I dove in, not just going to 12-step programs, which we can get into later, but why do I keep repeating this pattern? I'm not an idiot. I know how harmful it is, but why did I go back to that same pattern again, expecting a different outcome? I know, insanity, right? Actually, through my last 2 years of research, exploration, and I would say sort of a quantum/spiritual enlightenment, I realized that every single person has these. Mine obviously are pretty powerful. Unconscious programs, I call them your shame pain programs, that are running. They'll stay dormant for a while, but they, once triggered, can take over your decision making, your actions, your behaviors, your feelings. And next thing I knew, I was in the same familiar place. These unconscious programs, well, they're programmed into us when we're like before we're even 7, 8 years old. And I'm not one to dwell on the past and blame my issues now on my tough childhood. I blame it on me because those issues were there and I didn't accept them and deal with them. Here's the deal with shame pain. It's pain so painful, we shame it away, we pretend it doesn't impact us anymore, we pretend it doesn't affect us. But it's still there. And me, I would cover it up with relationships. Love me, love me, love me. Make me feel good about myself. With gambling, oh yeah. When I was in college, I was an avid, unprofessional gambler. Student loans, squandered. Anyway, don't worry, I still graduated, but barely. With relationships and with sex. I had that period too. Having sex with lots of different people. All of them, I keep looking to see if it's actually recording on the watch. Having sex with lots of different people because it made me feel good about myself. And then when I was 30 years old, because my parents, both drugs, alcohol issues. So I said, I will never do that. But when I was 30 years old, I did. And by the time I was 35, I was indicted for federal crime. Fast, huh? And that time I blew an engagement because of the drugs and the sex and everything else that was distracting me. So when we have these shame pain unconscious programs, until they're released or at least identified, they will pop up and run the show when we least expect it. So I made it my mission to identify these programs, release them, so I can live a much happier life than I've lived recently. Now, don't get me wrong. The last 10 years were better than most. I built a successful business, got married to a wonderful person, and I feel like when I'm doing well, when I'm achieving things, it distracts me away and kind of calms down those shame pain programs, those self-defeating, self-sabotaging programs. And when I get lots of approval, lots of validation, when I'm a success, yay me, they kind of are quiet. But as soon as the validation goes away, as soon as the success goes away, for me this time, they came up full power. And you can battle against the unconscious mind, those unconscious patterns. But if I didn't have, I'm not sure why I lost the battle. But I am sure it's not congruent with the person I want to be, the person I am, and the person that's not controlled by the shame pain programs. So what I have learned through NLP, through a lot of quantum mechanics, yes, quantum physics is like the science of spirituality, by the way, and through learning brain chemistry and trauma effects, I've learned that those shame pain programs, the more powerful they are, the longer they've been there, and the more things we've done to try to cover them up and pretend they're not there and pretend like, oh, I'm past that, I'm okay, the more unexpectedly and powerfully they can come up and hit us. So over the last, since my relapse, and now especially since my wife has said, I'm done, and we're finalizing the divorce paperwork as we speak, I have made it my mission not only to alleviate and disempower these shame pain programs in myself, but to share what I've learned and help others that are struggling with their own self-defeating, self-sabotaging programs. And maybe yours is overeating. Maybe it's addiction. Maybe it is compulsive worrying or judging others. Maybe it's fear of failure. We all have them. Every single human being does. The question is, do we integrate them with our whole self? I call it the potential of your authentic whole self, the purpose of your authentic whole self, or the power of your authentic whole self. But the key words are authentic and whole. For me, I spent so much time acting like I was the man. I was either on top, better than everyone, or I was homeless, drunk, or needed everyone's help. The in-between didn't go. Authenticity was not there. Wholeness was not there. I tried to pretend the shame pain parts of me didn't exist, and only the good parts that I wanted people to see was me. In fact, it has taken some time to realize again who I authentically am and what my purpose is. And the first thing I would say, if you're struggling, awareness. It all starts with awareness. Be aware, be mindful, be conscious, and realize we are not our thoughts. Those thoughts that keep coming up, that's not who we are. That's programs running, those negative thoughts. And the feelings that come of insecurity, fear, doubt, worry, those fight or flight based feelings, they're not us either. But if you're like me, you have so much of your life in those feelings because they're programmed, you think it's just the way it is. And you develop strategies to deal with them, coping mechanisms. Maybe it's drugs and alcohol, maybe it's sex, maybe it's overeating, maybe it's judging others. Whatever it is, those strategies, they served us when we were little kids, but they don't serve us now. Now, I am not a counselor, I'm not a therapist, and I don't even have my own life figured out, but I will tell you that right now my life is more lonely, more poor, and everyone that loves me has given up on me, it seems, except my daughter. Thank you for the card, Jenna. And my team. My business is not doing great. I saw the numbers today. We're just barely making it, but I got off all the intoxicants. The last one was the vape pen, and that stopped on May 15th, 2022. And I have practiced this every single day, the awareness, the consciousness, and I am seeing shifts. This is the most I've smiled in a while because I am not a happy guy yet, and I spend most of my time trying not to go into a sad tailspin, but just the awareness, the consciousness of knowing those thoughts, those regrets, the behaviors that want to reappear, and the beliefs that I attach to the thoughts and the feelings I get. It's not me. It never was. And when I decide, okay, instead of thinking that or continuing to feel that or believing that, I'm just going to get aware, present, and conscious. It's almost like I just decide to stop thinking unless I'm thinking about what I'm doing right now in the now being. Hope that makes sense, and I hope it helps at least one person. And if not, it'll be a reminder for me when I go back and watch this video. Tom Miller, Coach Tom, self-sabotaging expert, weight loss expert, and now mindset breakthrough in the process. But honestly, I don't feel like an expert in anything right now except truth. This is some of the most authentic videos I've ever made because I'm not trying to make you like me. I'm not trying to look good because I have lost everything. I know I'm not looking good, but it allows space for authenticity, and that's the only way the wholeness comes in. Thank you for watching, and I hope you find space to be aware, present, conscious, and whole.